Welcome to the Dawgs Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Justin Charles and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Fantasy Football Podcast. Josh and Justin back in the studio with you guys, recapping kind of a wild week 5.
Yeah.
There were some, I feel like these passing offenses are starting to come more alive in some situations. Some of the higher end, receivers and people that you invested in are starting to finally produce some of those big games for people. Not all of them yet, but
some of that camp wears.
Yeah.
The training camp wears,
the holdout slows. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll dive into, just what happened here in week 5, talk about some of the waiver wire pickups you guys might want to be looking at heading into week 6. And, like we do every week, some trade options, guys we might be looking to get out from under while they're hot. Maybe some guys are looking to go put a feeler out while they're, a little on the cold side. Mm-hmm. And we'll just kind of discuss all that stuff. So,
absolutely.
Again, if you guys are on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of our new episodes. And we do have the Cleveland Guardians game up in the background. So if we're kind of like reacting to baseball stuff, that's what's going on because we are Cleveland fans.
Yes. And
right now, that's the only team playing a sport actively that's worth rooting for.
Yes. Cavs in 3 weeks. Let's go Cavs.
Yeah. Oh boy. So I guess maybe we could start there. Real quick, just make it real simple. If you have any Cleveland Browns players, you can't start them.
Yes.
You can't play them. You can't play Amari Cooper. Jerome Ford is worthless. You obviously can't play Deshaun Watson. And Njoku's hurt again. There's nothing. There are no fantasy assets right now.
Yeah.
On Cleveland. I would obviously hold Amari.
Sure.
If I've got him because you can't trade him. No one wants him right now, and just hold out because I think he's going to be on a new team soon.
Yeah, I agree.
He'll be in Kansas City. Buffalo could use him, So we obviously can't, and I think his situation should improve at some point.
Yeah.
Jerome Ford, are you holding him?
No, probably not. And here's the thing: is I think there's just better options. You can pick up a waiver wire guy probably this week. I mean. So heading into this week, I had a ton of buys. I was in a lot of trouble in a lot of leagues, and it worked out in some. I picked up Tyrone Tracy in a league.
Yeah, dude.
Started him. Roshan was a guy that got dropped a couple weeks ago in one of my dynasty leagues. People kind of gave up on him. I picked him up and started him. He obviously, like, everybody kind of played good for, Chicago this past week for the most part. Like, right. DeAndre Swift had another a nice game, but I think that there's just better options out there. I mean, depending on what's going on with Jonathan Taylor, you could try, streaming Trey Sermon another week. But I'm not in on Ford. And then what's his like realistic window? Like maybe 2 more weeks, and then you got Chubb back, and I don't even know if like Chubb is going to be fantasy relevant behind that offensive line. Like, and I say that I love Cleveland sports. That's where I'm at right now. I'm not even sure that. I think it's almost a disservice to even play him. It's crazy.
I do too. He's got like a career, one of the all-time career high yards per carry average. I would hate to see it get destroyed just because he came back from his injury to play behind this line. So yeah, Jerome Ford again, like the usage. I mean, he's on the field. He gets the carries when we do hand the ball off, which is very rare. Yeah, if you've got to pick somebody up off the waivers, you feel free to drop Jerome Ford because there might be a guy like Tank Bigsby out there.
Tank Bigsby is another great one.
And, it's through, the first game of the year, they split carries evenly and he outproduced ETN. Then he got the shoulder injury and he was out and he didn't really play the third week. And then last week he came back with some signs of life. And then this week,
exploded.
Dude, I mean, just he had the 65-yard touchdown run or something like that. He just had another one where he was just bulldozing people, and he looks like the better running back.
I agree. I mean, if you have Travis Etienne, you obviously have to hold him, or you could try selling him, depending on what you need. But it's very rough right now.
I don't think he takes over the like running back one role. I think it's going to be more of like it's a split. I think it's a 50-50 Etienne's probably going to do more in the passing game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's nice is like he's producing with what he's given. You know what I mean? Like when you're given 10 carries a game and you're putting up 100 yards, eventually that's going to break through as far as like, especially they're a team that they're trying to see what they have. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Things are very rough right now. Another guy, I don't know, depending on like if he's available or not, Chase Brown. With Zach Moss, I don't know. They haven't really said the extent of how bad that injury is yet, but it didn't look good. I'm pretty sure he just got his ankle, stepped on. But I would take a look and see if he's available or if you could trade for him low. You know what I mean?
Scooped him. I actually dropped Mark Andrews to pick up Chase Brown last week.
Well done.
Because it was a league where I had Tucker Kraft. I picked him up, and I knew I was playing him. And I've got TJ Hawkinson on my IR coming back in a few weeks.
Yes.
And I'm like, am I really going to let Chase Brown sit there for Mark Andrews?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. The crazy thing too is like in some leagues you could probably put Mark Andrews up and people are probably buying just based on the name. You know what I mean? Like
I thought about it and I know my league mates and I was like, I was shocked that Chase Brown was still sitting there.
Yes.
I thought I don't have time to sit here and negotiate for a couple of days. Like I got to make this move.
Yeah.
And so that's just what I did.
Yep. He kind of started off flat and then, eventually like he's kind of blossomed the last couple of weeks. I think there's 2 or 3 weeks now where he's pretty much right at 20 points, if not higher. So
yeah,
that would be another one I would take a look at.
Ramondre Stevenson was benched for the first drive of the game for all his fumbling issues. And then right back in the game for an RB4 finish on the week.
Yep.
So
got a tutty. Yep.
Yeah. 89 and a touchdown. Like you can go ahead and stick Ramondre back in.
Surely.
I mean, especially against, the thing is we're at the point in the season now where you're starting to realize what defenses you can exploit with different players. Like you got to collect that data for about the first month of the fantasy season. If you got a running back going against Miami, fire them up.
Yeah,
Miami defense is awful against the running backs. And I think they might be on bye now this week. Is that right? In week 6?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. But either way, then, we'll talk about it, but whoever's got Miami coming up.
You're right. Yes.
You need to be playing those running backs against Miami because that is a juicy matchup.
How do you feel? I have two other guys running back wise.
Yeah.
Alexander Madison. How do you feel about him going forward? Team's dysfunctional, but
if outside of Brock Bowers, I don't want anything to do with Raiders. I've got Jacoby Myers in a league where he is like a desperation wide receiver break glass in case of emergency because I got a lot of good ones. Yep. He's the only wide receiver on my bench.
Yeah. Okay.
In that situation. But other than that, I don't know. What do you think about Madison?
I thought with the opportunity, because Zamir White got hurt in practice and everything. So you're seeing, they were transitioning to, it was going to be Madison, moving forward. It wasn't super impressive numbers. I think he put up 10 fantasy points, something like that, 10.1. He's a guy I picked up and kind of stashed for the week just to see, what was going to happen. And then the matchup was bad, because Denver is playing pretty good right now. So as far as defense, I just figured I'd stash him. Another guy that could be interesting too, depending on how bad the injury is, Ty Chandler. Now I'm pretty sure that Minnesota's on a bye week 6. So Aaron Jones could get healthy, be cool to come back. If he's not, depending on how serious the injury is, Ty Chandler, I could be pick up flyer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I kind of want to have a quick discussion about RB 37 on the week.
Oh, okay.
Down here, one spot below CJ Ham for the Minnesota Vikings, and that would be Breece Hall.
Yeah, dude.
What the hell is going on?
Are you selling him yet? Because I know I might still be a buyer, but I don't know. It is, the problem is I have Breece Hall in a lot of leagues. The run game was not efficient. I watched a little bit of that game. I ended up going to a flag football tournament for my nephew kind of deal. But Breece Hall has kind of laid some eggs, not legitimate eggs, but he's laid some duds now for 2-3 weeks where it's just, and the offense, New York Jets offense is super dysfunctional. I guess if you have to have something, Garrett Wilson's been kind of up and down. He had 22 targets.
I know,
that is outrageous.
He only had 13
catches. Yeah.
Catches.
His numbers were respectable. Don't get me wrong. I think
101 yards though on 22. His targets were 5 yards down the field.
Yep. He ended up with 29.1, I guess.
Because he had the touchdown. Yeah. But, whew, man.
Yikes, 22.
So with Breece Hall, you got to have a different perspective based on what kind of format you're playing. Like redraft, I think it depends on where you're at. Like if you're 3 and what are we at now? 4. If you're like 4-1, I mean, if you're 5-0, 4-1, even like 3-2, like you're in the lead in your league and all that kind of stuff. I would put a feeler out to try to buy a little bit lower on Breece Hall to see if that manager. I mean, that manager's probably not doing very well. That was their first round pick.
Absolutely, yeah.
This upcoming week they get Buffalo, who I believe is like 32nd against running backs.
Okay,
so that's a good spot to get right. If he has a big game against Buffalo, that buy window closes.
Absolutely.
So if you believe in Breece Hall, then he's got Pittsburgh. But then he's got New England, Houston, Arizona, Indianapolis. And then after the bye week, getting close to the playoffs, Miami.
Yes.
Jacksonville.
Yes.
The Rams and Buffalo in championship weekend. Like his end of season stretch, it's setting up where Breece Hall could go on that late season tear like he did last year.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
30 points, 40 points, in these games.
Yeah.
So again, if you're sitting well in your league, record wise, and you've got some movable assets, I would kick the tires on Breece Hall.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not selling on Breece Hall yet. My thing is I'm like, the potential's too high. Do they have to get some things figured out? Yes. Yeah. Like it has to turn around. I also, a big thing that I hear all the time is like, are you worried about Braylon Allen, like eating into his workload? Like, that's definitely happening, but neither one of these guys produced this weekend. You know what I mean?
It's happening, but again, if you look at the snap counts and like the percentage of running back, rushes and opportunities and touches and things like that, they've been pretty consistent all year, I believe. Yep. Like it's not like this situation where Tink Bigsby's like taking stuff away from ETN. I mean, I think Allen and Hall have their roles, and it's you got to think of the Jets more like the Lions with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They're both fantasy assets. Absolutely. Like they're startable. They need to be in your lineups every week. Fantasy football assets. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen are similar to that. They're just on a much worse offense.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Thank you, Nathaniel Hackett, for effing so many things up for fantasy football over the years. We appreciate it. Douchebag. All right. Anything else with running backs you want to talk about?
I mean, I guess another guy that you could take a look at. I think you've been pretty high. Rico Dowdle's kind of, he's right there. You know what I mean? He's starting.
It's been a slow burn getting there.
Yeah, I think if you can probably buy low on him. I mean, that's the thing though. Like the longer it goes on, he's not a super known. I mean, I think for fantasy guys, like you're like, yeah, if you know the situation, you're like, yep. I want that. But
I drafted him in a lot of leagues late.
Yep.
And I've just been holding him on my bench. Like he's not a guy that I've been dropping to pick other people up if I can help it. Cause I'm like, he's the running back one in Dallas. They're going to get the run game going at some point.
Yep.
It's been a slow start for them. The snap shares. I mean, it has been like Dowdle up, Zeke down dramatically over this first month.
Yep. I was wrong on Chase Brown. Chase Brown had 16.4 in PPR.
Okay.
But still, I would take 16.4.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially when you're rolling out Breece Hall getting like 5.
Yep. So are we going to the receiver?
Sure, we can bounce over and look at some receivers.
I mean, some of them guys showed up. Jamar Chase.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He, stupid huge game.
And his teammate T. Higgins, I mean.
He put up, 20, it was
29.3, so almost 30 points. Chase was at 41. I mean, you've got 2 receivers for the same team in the top 4 finishes on the week. I mean, we got a game yet tonight, but I don't think anybody's getting inside the top 4 out of the Chiefs and the Saints. Be surprised, so I'd be very surprised. DJ Moore, just nice. I feel like now I know they were playing Carolina, but I feel like the Bears offense is starting to click.
Going in the right direction. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's going to be rocky though. I think it's going to be up and down. You're going to have some games where it's like, woof, but not as many as it looked like we were going to have.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
They're leveling up.
If I'm a Keenan Allen owner, I'd probably be slightly panicked because I don't think that it hasn't been good. It hasn't been good he was missed 2 games and then on top, I don't think he's had more than 6 or 7 points.
I honestly haven't really followed him much because
it's been rough. I think he had 3 catches for, let's see if I can find him at the bottom real quick.
Scroll.
Yeah, he's, here we go. 3 catches for 33 yards.
Cool.
6 targets, but.
Yeah, it's the DJ Moore and Rome Odunze show.
Yeah. Rome had 5 for 40.
And Cole Kmet.
And Cole Kmet's nice, yeah. Cole Kmet's kind of, I think
he's going to be a usable tight end this year now.
Absolutely. A guy that's, and I don't know if it was just based on how big the game was, but he's been having a nice season and continued. Darnell Mooney. I
think Darnell Mooney is like going to be an every week start.
Yes, absolutely.
I think so.
Do you think that is, now obviously I don't think you're going to get 500 and 7 yards from Kirk Cousins every week.
Right.
But do you think that offense is sustainable as far as like the pass attack? Because it sure looked like things were going great. And I know the first few weeks were rough. I had a guy trade. He said, "Hey, I have Kirk Cousins. I'm sitting with Fields." And I'm like, as Mike my third. And he's like, I'll send you. I sent him, who did I send? Fields and Drake London.
Okay.
In a package, and I kind of was trying to buy in on Devontae Adams. I said, hey, send him over. As soon as I sent the trade, I was like, okay, cool. I know that this isn't going to work for 2 weeks for me. Drake London goes crazy.
Yeah, he went off.
But then this dude started Justin Fields over Kirk Cousins, and he's like, oh, you ruined my whole week. I'm like, bro, I gave you a 30-point receiver, for the week also. But it is, you have 2 Atlanta receivers in the top 3,
Yes.
At 2 and 3. With Drake London and Darnell Mooney. I agree, though. I think Mooney's, you kind of have to start him now. Like, he's been pretty much 15 to 20, if not higher, every week. Looks very sustainable.
100%. This episode is brought to you by Bijan Sports. Bijan Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Bijan started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Bijan has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Bijan has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Bijan makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Bijan even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Bijan's website where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Bijan Sports, BADEN Sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BijanSports.com/dogs. I mean, we didn't talk about it in running backs, but Bijan Robinson is another guy that, he's a buy low, when you say buy low, it's not like you're getting him dirt cheap. It's more of a,
right.
There probably is a window now for discussion with that owner to just say, is he derailing your season so far? Do you need
But are you buying though? I don't know if I'm buying. I guess it depends on where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Again,
but I know you're a wide receiver guy. I'm a running back guy. So I'm never in the position where like, oh, let me take a chance on a guy that's giving me 6 to 11 a game. Like I'm like, hey, I'm cool. Not for what I'm going to pay up to get him onto my team.
It's kind of buyer's choice, I guess. Like if you're in a position where you feel pretty good with your team and you think you have a couple guys that you could sell high on to try to get Bijan in return. I think better days are ahead. I mean, the utilization it's gone down a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but I mean, he still looks good. He's got burst. I mean, it hasn't been what we have hoped for, what we expected, but some guys just don't fire off immediately. So, I mean, think about like a Ramondre Stevenson. Wasn't Ramondre Stevenson for about 3 years into his career. So
agreed.
It sucks, but back to these wide receivers, which are going to be a little more fun to talk about. I mean, like Darius Slayton.
Yes.
He's a guy that if he's on your waivers, me personally, I'll let somebody else go crazy with Fab on him just because Malik Neighbors didn't play in this game.
No.
Malik Neighbors comes back. Darius Slayton hasn't done anything since when Neighbors was on the field.
Yep.
But the Giants are kind of sneaky. Like
they're doing
not quite as bad as I thought they were going to be this year.
No. Darius Slayton's a guy too. I think it's interesting because I keep hearing his name pop up in like trade talks. Like, Kansas City would be interested in like, now I don't know like how that translates as far as like they're throwing the ball a lot. It seems like Daniel Jones, like he has his two guys and those guys get like 12, 13 targets a game. So when Malik Neighbors comes back in, I do think that you're going to see like dramatic cutoff in production as far as to Slayton. But I think Wan'Dale Robinson is very, very, he's startable.
Yeah.
And then obviously Malik Neighbors, once he's healthy, very startable.
All right. Waiver wire. What about, all right. So here's two names that are probably on your waiver wires.
Sure.
Alec Pierce for the Colts and Jalen Tolbert for the Cowboys.
Okay. So my thing with, and I will say this just with all Colts players, all Colts wide receivers, as long as Joe Flacco is playing, yes, like must start. Josh Downs, I'm starting him as long as he is with Flacco.
Yes.
And pretty much with Pittman too. Like obviously if you have Pittman, you're probably starting him because you probably drafted him in redraft at least. You probably drafted him, I'm guessing like 5, 6 rounds, somewhere around there.
That's the latest probably.
Yeah. I'm just a guess. He has not lived up to that with Anthony Richardson. So I think the best thing as far as for fantasy wide receivers on that team is that Flacco continues to throw the ball around. We saw that in Cleveland last year. He is not afraid to just chuck it all over the place.
Which I think is probably not going to be the case even this week. I mean, last week it was Anthony Richardson was kind of questionable all week. They said that, if it had been an important game, the one that he went out of, he could have gone back in and played. Yeah. And they ended up ruling him out just to give him another week. But Shane Steichen came out and said he's the starter. I mean, when he's healthy, he's the quarterback. So I would imagine he's back QB this week.
Yep.
And Flacco's back to the bench, which means so are your Colts receivers probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And then as far as Jalen Tolbert, I believe he had one more target than CeeDee Lamb last night.
Yeah, I'll produce CeeDee Lamb. Like the Brandon Cooks going down.
It's big for him.
Has given a big opportunity for Tolbert. And now he's a guy that I would, if I need a receiver or I need like a spot start this week, I would fly on Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, they said Cooks is going to be multiple weeks. You know what I mean? That he's going to be out. So I like that one. I think that one's a sneaky one. Alec Pierce, though, I'm like...
Now pass.
I'm passing.
He's a big play guy.
Now, if Josh Downs is sitting there, I think he could be a guy that you could stash depending on how big your bench is. But like you said, I think if Anthony Richardson's starting, expectations down for what you're going to get get from Josh Downs.
Yes, absolutely. What about like Jordan Whittington?
Oh man, I watched that game. He's very nice.
He is, isn't he?
He's very, very nice. He's very athletic. There was a couple plays where he laid out, like just completely laid out on the sidelines on that last drive. He got hurt right at the end of the game. I don't know how serious it was. I think he just kind of fell weird. But they're saying it's still going to be like a couple weeks on Cooper Kupp. Puka even farther out on that. I think the Rams they're gonna throw the ball, obviously. So I think that there's an opportunity to snag him up. Robinson also, I think he, if you had to like start, if you're in a pinch, you could probably fire him up too. But Whittington is, and a lot of my leagues with little bench, he's available.
Yeah, I think a lot of my leagues he has actually been scooped up. But yeah, he's a guy that kind of like Tolbert. I mean, if you need a guy to put in there.
I think it depends on league size and then bench size.
Yeah.
Yep. Because some guys aren't going to drop, like somebody, I guess like a Brandon Cooks, you're probably just moving him to IR and this holding, you know what I mean, until healthy. But yeah, man.
So what about Rashad Bateman?
I don't know.
8 targets.
Yeah.
Now, again, it was a shootout with Cincinnati. They went into overtime, played 5 quarters. 4 catches, 58 and a touchdown. I mean, that was his highest yardage on the season. He's second touchdown of the year, the most targets he's had, the most receptions he's had. Are we playing in the waters of Baltimore receivers, or are we just going to let them mellow out?
I don't think I'm doing that, bro.
Yeah, I don't think I'd touch anybody there.
No.
I mean, outside of Flowers, of course, but
yeah,
you've got him. Yeah. If you got him, you got him.
You got right.
Yeah, he's not.
Or if they make a move, like Devontae Adams. We'll see.
Still think that's Jets or Saints.
I do too, but I guess he's posting,
Nah, I guess the Steelers are big in on him too.
That would be the worst case.
For him?
Yeah.
Or for fantasy managers?
I guess we'll see. So I don't, not to take us down completely different conversation.
Oh, why not?
But I work very early in the morning. I did not stay up last night. They said, hey, we're not starting the game till 9:45. We're in a weather delay. I said, cool, I'm going to bed. But bad weather conditions, numbers were down on fields. Numbers were down in general, like pretty much for everybody. But do you think that they make a pivot move towards Russell Wilson yet? Or do you think it's still...
So I did watch a lot of that game. I felt like there were some throws that Fields made that, there was quite a few throws that defenders had hands on. Mm-hmm. Not that they were bad passes. It was just, I don't know if it was kind of the field conditions, the ball being a little bit slick, but it was more like 50-50 balls that were a little bit underthrown. Sure. He still had a receiver there. The ball came down incomplete, whatever, but there were some drop passes. It was just kind of a sloppy game. Both sides, Dak threw a couple picks. I don't know. Both sides didn't really look like they knew what they wanted to do throwing the ball. So I don't think they pivot yet. He's, for the most part, he's played pretty well. Yeah. And his rushing, that's the thing, man. I noticed that watching last night. When it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, or when they got to some 4th and 1 situations, the playbook is very, very wide range of what they can do, because they can do stuff with Najee and they can do stuff with Justin. And the way they roll him out on design runs and things, it seems like that they like doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't do that stuff with Russell.
No. Okay.
Not today's Russell.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
Nico Collins.
Oh, ouch.
Man, he ran way too fast on that bomb touchdown from Stroud. Nice. So tweaked what was it, a knee?
I thought it was a hammy.
Or that's right. I'm thinking of somebody else. Yeah. He re-aggravated the hamstring injury.
They're saying he's week to week now.
Yeah, because it started day to day, and they're like, we're going to change that week to week. Okay, so prepare to be without Nico.
Tank Dell. Obviously
he's not been good yet.
He hasn't been good yet, but my thing is, I'm like, hey, I'd fire him up. I guarantee you he's probably not available in your league. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would guess. But
he might be obtainable.
Yeah. Buy low.
Because whoever has him is probably disappointed.
Yep, absolutely.
In what they've gotten so far.
And I think, we have all, I don't know if we've argued about it, but going into this year or even last year, I was like, man, Tank Dell might be the dude. And then Nico Collins absolutely put that to rest. Yeah. Nico's the dude. The money showed he's the dude. And his play has showed that he's the dude. That's a huge loss for their offense. And obviously I think you can expect an uptick for Diggs. And Tank Dell, but I like Tank Dell a lot. I think he'd be a guy the next few weeks. If you've been disappointed, I think you can start him as long as the offense for Houston, plays well. Joe Mixon should be back, here in probably, I'd guess sometime this week, next week.
So that's another mention I wanted to make real quick. If Nico Collins misses and Joe Mixon misses, Darway. Oh my gosh, I can't say his name. Yeah. Agumbawale.
Yes.
For running back for the Houston Texans. If you need a spot start, a Hail Mary at running back, they throw him the ball.
Yeah. Yep.
And he gets some carries. He could be a guy go out there and get you anywhere between. He's not going to goose you. No. Get you 5 to 12 points, maybe. Whatever you need. On the low end.
Yeah, game-winning touchdown, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Guy I think they trust, and with Mixon out, obviously. But, yep, I'm with you on that, man.
All right, was there any other receiving stuff here?
Other than Ayuk, he kind of came out of his shell. Yeah. He exploded a little bit. No, I'm good. We can move along to tight end.
Talk about some tight ends. Tight end 1 on the week, Tucker Kraft. If he was out there last week, he probably got picked up because he had a big week 4.
Yes. Yeah.
He had an even bigger week 5 with the 2 touchdowns. Did you see that catch down the sideline?
Nice. Yes.
He just stiff-armed. He stiff-armed one dude to the ground, stiff-armed another one to kind of push off and keep going, and then just barrels
66-yarder?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that, man. He was just... We talked about it, I think, before the show. Like I was big on Tucker Kraft last year as a rookie, even though Musgrave was drafted ahead of him and everything last year. Tucker Kraft just seems more like the do-it-all tight end. He can block. He's physical. He can run routes. He can catch. Like he's just very savvy. His football IQ. Everything I read about him as a prospect was like, this dude can play football.
Absolutely.
No, Musgrave was obviously the more athletic, explosive type player, but that doesn't always mean anything.
Yep. Yeah, he was, I told you right before we started, picked him up in 3 leagues. He basically saved my week.
Yeah.
Saved my week. Evan Ingram out again.
Yeah, what a bust pick that's been so far, man.
That one is tough for me because I was like, I went into it like, well, that's gonna be the
got him in so many spots.
I know. He's been sitting on my IR for weeks.
Yeah.
It's become his new home. It's rough. A guy that I was really impressed with, Brock Bowers.
Yep.
Had nice target share, 8 receptions on 12 targets, 97 yards and a touchdown with 2 different quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to be, you can talk about Jacoby Myers or Trey Tucker. It's Brock Bowers. It's going to be Brock Bowers who's going to get, I think, a huge share of the passing game work. So
a guy that I think we were both out on in draft season. And I said every time we did a draft, I'm like, yeah, I bypass this guy every time. I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
And he's killing it as George Kittle.
I know.
I was not expecting him to
do this.
No. So, I mean, his fantasy output's been, week 1 was 8 points and then 20, 14, 20. I mean, 4 catches, 7, 4, 8, 3 or a touchdown in the last 3 games in a row. Like now he did miss week 3 against the Rams, which that's always one of my concerns with him.
Yep.
But I bypassed him to draft Evan Ingram and he hadn't played yet.
Yep.
So
very fair.
Oh, fantasy football's fun. Fantasy football's fun.
The normal stuff. A guy that I was surprised that showed up, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I mean, he put himself on the board. 7 catches, 88 yards, 15.8. Jake Ferguson, the norm. You know,
he's always
consistent.
So, what do you think? I mean, so I mentioned Mark Andrews earlier. So you had Isaiah Likely is tight end 4.
Right.
Charlie Kohler.
Yeah.
Is tight end 6.
Or 6, yeah, my fault. Yep.
And Mark Andrews is tight end 17. Like that. So everybody, I hear people saying, oh, okay, Mark Andrews, he had 4 for 55. It was like late in the 3rd quarter, I think, when he got his first catch.
It's rough.
I mean, if we're celebrating Mark Andrews getting 4 for 55 in an overtime game where they had to move the ball to keep up because Cincinnati was burning them.
Yeah.
And the other 2 tight ends on the roster outproduced him.
It's crazy.
Like that's concerning.
Super concerning.
It
Especially
really
where
is.
You took him probably tight end 3 or 4 off the board.
Oh, it is not good. I heard somebody refer to him as right tackle Mark Andrews.
I wish we had him on the Browns because our right tackle doesn't block anybody.
No, we don't throw to anybody anyway, so or at least we don't connect.
That's fair.
What do we want to do about Theo Johnson, the rookie tight end for the New York Giants? Looks like he had a decent 5 for 48 this week. So the thing about Theo Johnson,
great story.
What is the story?
I was talking to a Giants fan up at the Browns game, and she told me all about him. But like, just real tough upbringing, like tough background, like pretty sure like adoption stuff going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like kind of just bounced around and said just great kid. Well, great kid.
Going into the season, it was okay. They've got Daniel Bellinger. They've got this rookie Theo Johnson out of Penn State. Darren Waller retired and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, it's probably going to be Bellinger. I mean, he's been there for like 3-4 years now or whatever. So he's probably the vet they're going to lean on. This dude came out week 1, 86% of snaps, 79%, 81, then down to 71, now back up to 78% of snaps. Like he's on the field in an offense where you mentioned earlier, Daniel Jones kind of has his 2 guys, throws to them, hyper targets. Malik Neighbors obviously is going to get anything and everything they can throw at him.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about a rookie tight end. And it's a slow go. I mean, usually these guys need time to ramp up, but the fact that he's on the field and he's running the routes, and now all of a sudden he pops off with a 5-target, 5-reception game, he's a guy I would keep my eye on if I'm in tight end need of help.
Yeah. Which is probably most of us. You know what I mean?
Yes, because it's a bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I think it's interesting because this is like the first real nice where you're like, this is a respectable, you could start, if you get 9 points out of a tight end, depending on the league you're in, that's huge. You know what I mean? Like in some of my dynasty leagues, I would take 9 points, It's worth I think like a stash, you know what I mean? Especially like, I didn't see a guy that I thought was interesting going into this week. What did Eric All end up doing? Because I ended up not seeing his name. And
all right. So this was not the Eric All week that I know there were a lot of people around the fantasy industry that was talking about
breakout.
him.
It's finally, yeah.
So that's a rookie tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
All right, here I got him finally. My big old fat thumbs can't type fast. So this week it was 2 targets, 2 catches, just 10 yards. But for the last 3 weeks in a row, it had been 4 targets for 4 catches, 32 yards, 22 yards, 28 yards, like just ho-hum. But I mean, if you need a guy to stick in that tight end spot who's not just going to get you 0, like Mark Andrews, 7 points, 6 points, 7 points. Now this week, 3. But he is on a very explosive offense that they've shown over the years. They like to throw the tight end.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow likes to throw the tight end.
Absolutely.
And he's outproducing like Mike Gesicki already as a young rookie. And we did a lot of draft prep, for the Cleveland Browns show that we do and everything. And Eric All was one of my like.
Loved him.
I loved him. I loved him as a prospect. Everything I'd heard and read and watched on him, I'm like, I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL.
I thought it was just because he had the same last name as you. It's spelled differently, but
it is spelled differently. But I do like his last name.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I think he was a guy I almost streamed this week, and I was worried about Trey McBride. I have Trey McBride and Kyle Pitts, and I started Kyle Pitts in one of my flex spots. This is a very big like dynasty, big bench, like 3 flex, 3 receiver. Like you're throwing that's a league. I'm throwing Tyrone Tracy out there.
Oh yeah.
I started Bo Melton this week in that league. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like gasping. I got my whole bench on by. And I was about to start him, but then McBride, was fine. So now I'm just stashing him, just letting him sit. I think he's in that offense. I mean, that offense is humming. It's starting, and they have no defense in Cincinnati.
So they're going to need to put up points.
We're in a shootout every game. So I think he's an interesting stash.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. We talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter. And most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients. Plus, it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS. One last guy I want to mention real quick at tight end, and this is not like a priority ad. I mean, if you've got a roster spot or you're like I got to get some points on my tight end spot, I think Cade Otton could be a good ad.
Sure.
If he's available. The thing with Cade Otton, dude, like we talked about some of these snap percentages for like Theo Johnson. How about Otton? 86, 100, 91, 95, 100. This dude plays damn near every snap of the game. He's running every route and he's starting to get targeted. Like, not this past week because he only caught 3 for 44, but the last week before that, 9 targets and then 8 targets. And he's getting 7 receptions, 6 receptions, 47, 52. I mean, I think he is going to start becoming a more consistent contributor in this Tampa Bay Buccaneer offense.
Yep, that's very fair. Yep. And the offense is nice. Tampa Bay looks, for the most part,
does.
Looks pretty good.
It sure does. Okay, so Want to do some quarterbacks before we wrap it up?
Yes, absolutely. How could we forget?
So quarterbacks, like Justin said, do not expect 509 from Kirk Cousins every week. That Thursday night game was insane. Joe Burrow finally popped off and had himself a nice big game. Lamar Jackson's just been like your steady QB1.
Yep.
Set it and forget it. We're not worried about points from Lamar Jackson quarterback.
Nope.
Like we are with a lot of these other guys. Hey, look, there's Joe Flacco, QB4. That looks familiar. Saw that a lot last year.
Yep.
Up in that range.
He's a nice streamer this week. If you like, I know in a couple leagues I saw that kind of come in forward, and I was like, hey, my wife picked him up in one league and was like, I don't know. I guess I don't have another quarterback. I was like, hey, I don't know. Anthony Richardson's not going to probably play. Try Flacco. He likes throwing the ball around. Paid it off. She probably still lost, but you know. I mean, it was an interesting. A guy I think is starting to come into his own, and I'm not sure. They're just so like up and down. But Bo Nix,
I was going to bring him up.
You know, like I don't know. Obviously, if you haven't been dynasty, like you drafted him in late first, early second, so you're not dropping this guy. But I think he's like a nice reach, depending on if it's, you know, one QB or a super flex. If it's super flex, stash him up all day. But I think things are starting to click a little bit out there.
He's getting into the territory where, like in a super flex league, he's definitely streamable.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm not forcing him into my lineup. And like this week is the Chargers. No, I'm not forcing it. New Orleans after that on the road, I'm not forcing it. But then he's got Carolina. Like Carolina is a game where I might roll out Bo Nix if I need to, you know. And he's got Atlanta later in the season, the Raiders, Cleveland, the Colts. Cincinnati in championship weekend, like Bo Nix could have a nice rookie stretch here where, I like him. I like him with Sean Payton, and that their defense is, legit.
Yep,
very.
Another guy. I guess we're thinking down the road here, okay? And if this is a super flex league that you're in, go ahead and do this. Make this pickup. If it's just a one QB, this just disregard. But I think it's Drake May time. It's time to. If you don't have him rostered, and he's not rostered in your league, I'd pick him up just on the fact that obviously he's gonna have like some rough games, but the kid's athletic. You know what I mean? And they're looking now. Their line, it's bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's not a great offensive line, and the weapons not that great. But I think that you can expect, you know, maybe 30 rushing yards. And we'll see. I could be completely wrong here, but if you're in need of a third, you know, quarterback, a guy to stash, he's a guy I picked up just this past weekend. I was like, yep, I'm going to scoop him up real quick. I think it's like him and Michael Penix are the only guys like that are left. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing Penix yet. You know, Kirk Cousins looks healthy.
Well, and, you know, I'm glad you brought up Drake May because just to kind of touch back on wide receivers, I did read a stat that Jalen Polk, the Patriots' second round rookie wide receiver, his snap share and route participation has been steadily growing the first 5 weeks to the point that it reached 100%.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This past week. So no production. I think he had like maybe one, two, couple catches. Like it was nothing special, but then again, neither is the offense.
Right.
So he's a guy, and, you know, obviously we've got Malik Neighbors, we've got Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas Jr., all, you know, some of these rookie wide receivers come hot out the gate and they're rookie right off the bat. And it's like, wow, they're legit. Most of the time, rookie receivers don't start producing anything for fantasy until the second half of the season.
Yep.
Like that was always the trend historically, was maybe you get some nice games out of these kids in the back half.
Yep.
I think Polk kind of falls into that category for me. So I'm not picking him up, but he's a guy that, you know, if I'm starring him, I'm putting a name on a list for, hey, if I need a waiver pickup later in the season, I just want to watch and see how he progresses and develops. And if Drake May gets in there, things could look up a little bit.
Yep. Another guy, I guess, quarterback wise, you could pick up. This would also be super flex. Don't do this in one QB. Aiden O'Connell. Looks like, you know, they don't know what they want to do.
He's going to be starting games at some point.
I know. Yeah. So he came in second half.
Didn't look much better, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I guess like in a spot start where you're in trouble, like where you're like, well, I can either start, you know, a running back or a quarterback. I still always try to get a second quarterback in the OP spot. So,
and I think that Aiden O'Connell is the type of guy that if he's starting a game and it's against a good matchup, he's playable.
Yeah.
This was the Broncos.
Right. Tough.
We just said the Broncos one of the best defenses right now. Yeah. Like So there is no surprise that Gardner and Aiden O'Connell had rough days against these guys. So yeah, I'd keep an eye on him. There's a couple guys that have been struggling.
I wanted to bring up one of those guys.
So you can bring up the second one. I'm sure I know who it is, but dude, Brock Purdy has been on the struggle bus for the 49ers. They're losing games.
Yep, they're 2-3 now.
2-3, man. Yep. He's only got one game with multiple touchdowns, and that was against the Rams, which, of course, if you can't throw multiple against them, I don't know what you're doing. But 2 more interceptions the other day against Arizona. And the thing is, when I watch him, because I was watching some of that game, and he looks very indecisive. When he drops back, there's a lot of plays where I'm like, just throw the ball away. Just throw it away.
Yeah.
And instead he tries to extend, but he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He's not these guys that can do things with his legs, and he'll extend backwards and sideways and backwards and sideways. And all of a sudden it's like, dude. And then the one play I remember watching vividly, he kept doing that. And then he thought he was going to get away, and boom, get sacked, put him way out of field goal range. It was one of those situations where it's like,
what are you doing?
He hasn't been paid yet.
Yep.
So Brock Purdy is somebody in like a dynasty league. If I've got him, I'm definitely paying attention to how this season goes for them.
Yep.
Because we've seen Shanahan already in the past. Like, I don't care who you are, what we've invested in you, we will move on. Yep. Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, we will get out.
Yep.
If you're not the guy.
Sure. The guy I'm a little nervous about is Josh Allen.
Say it.
9 for 30 for 131 yards. Now, he did get the touchdown, and he also, pretty sure he got a concussion.
He was knocked out. Knocked the out,
came out for a play, came back in.
When he came back in, I was like, no. He threw it out there, and you brought him back in the game.
PA, the Players Association, I'm guessing they're going to have some things to say about that one.
I mean, he was T-Rex armed. Yeah. Like, just...
I wasn't watching that game. I was unfortunately watching a different game.
I see. I've gotten smart. Browns on the TV, Red Zone on my iPad.
Yeah, I know. I should do that.
Yeah.
It's usually Browns on the TV, little kid show.
Yeah, that's true too.
Watching, Hocus Pocus 2 or something.
But Josh Allen has not been good.
Yeah, it's very like up and down. And you already touched on it. He doesn't have a wide receiver one. Dalton Kincaid hasn't been what I think. A lot of people thought, hey, Dalton Kincaid is probably going to be the one, he'll be the wide receiver one.
Top target.
Top target. Hasn't been that. And it's very inconsistent. This was a game I circled, and I was like, if you have anybody on both these teams, you're going to be great. This is going to be a legendary shootout. And it was not that, know? So you're not panicking, but I think, if you can head down that road. And are you selling? Like, if you can, I know a lot of leagues, let's say you have Jaden Daniels or Josh Allen.
Oh, dude, I've got Jaden Daniels in so many spots, and I'm loving it, man. Right. It's so awesome. Man, if I've got Josh Allen, I'm probably trying to shop, and I'm trying to make a Jaden Daniels move.
Yep.
Because there's a chance, in an owner's mind, they're like, yeah, he's playing well, but he's a rookie. It's Josh Allen? You're offering me Josh Allen, then that person's thinking like, oh man, I'm buying low on this. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take Josh Allen. I'm telling you right now, I don't know if this comes correct. The way that obviously Josh Allen's still going to be a good quarterback. Yeah. He's still going to have great games, but I don't think he's kind of going down that Mahomes route where it's like, I can't just put him in my lineup every week and expect big numbers. Like I'm kind of streaming, which is insane. I mean, Arizona week 1, he had 31, then dropped down to 9 against Miami. Jacksonville, of course, 30 points because they're terrible.
Yep.
Baltimore, 7 points against Baltimore. And then here at Houston, he puts up 14, almost 15, like you said, 30 attempts, 9 completions. Oh my gosh, for 131. He hasn't thrown a pick yet.
No, and
he's not throwing a ton of touchdowns either.
And if he doesn't add the rushing yards, it's...
Now, the rushing yards are okay.
Yes,
It's been every week. He's been okay. Week 2, he only had he had 2 yards. Last week, just 21. But you're going to get a little bit of variance there. But man, with the passing, this offense, this team, they started out hot. They don't look so good anymore.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, people were crowning him. Then Baltimore
uncrowned him.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah. He's a guy, I have a 3 keeper, it's basically 3 keeper. You have your full lineup, but 3 at the end of the year, it's a super flex. My keepers this year were Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, and Josh Allen. And my second quarterback, I took Jaden Daniels. I'm having serious conversations already on, do I let Breece Hall go? Do I let Josh Allen go? I know that sounds crazy. Do I trade Josh Allen and try to get, another piece to go with my team? I think if I was better off at QB, I would feel a lot better about because you could get a haul for Josh Allen.
Yes.
But
so, I mean, in terms of this season, next week is the Jets in New York. That's not a fantasy friendly matchup right there for quarterbacks. And then Tennessee, which, we'll see how they are.
Yep.
Seattle's been kind of up and down, but they've been good in spots. He's got to play Kansas City right before the bye. They're a great defense.
Yep.
He's got San Francisco right after the bye. And then he's got, here's your champion or your playoffs. Detroit, New England, then the Jets.
Yep.
I don't think I want him.
It's rough.
I don't think I want him, especially in like a one quarterback league where having a difference maker at quarterback can really set your roster apart from your opponents. I would be trying to sell him and see if I can't trade him for Jaden Daniels and a piece.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yep.
Tier down.
People are going to freak out and be like, these guys are idiots. I don't think it's that crazy, especially like in redraft where like obviously there's consequences, but really are there any consequences? Like Dynasty, you can really mess around and screw some shit up.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like
you
you can really set yourself back like 5 years doing something like really, really silly like that. Like in Dynasty, I don't care. I'm holding, you know what I mean? Unless I'm like absolutely blown away.
Yeah. If it's like a really, really nice offer, I'm always, nobody's untouchable.
Very fair.
I'm always open to, because somebody might come and say, look, I value Josh Allen at this. And you're like, I value him at what you're going to give me. Let's do it. And
if you're giving me 3 firsts and some pieces, and you're not a good team.
It always drives me nuts when people are like, oh, this person, we can't even have the discussion. I'm like, okay.
We can always have a discussion.
Do you even know what I'm willing to offer you right now?
Yeah, we can have a discussion. I might not like the discussion, but we can talk about it at least,
So, but redraft, I'm trying to think of anybody. Obviously we've said Jaden Daniels multiple times now, but like what other quarterbacks are you looking to tier down maybe from Josh Allen and maybe pick up an extra running back or receiver? Maybe one of these other guys that we talked about is like a buy option this episode.
I guess, so it's crazy. Like, I don't think Lamar or Jalen, I don't think you're getting for me, I would consider a running quarterback, especially if that.
What about like a Jordan Love?
I think it's getting better. But
what about a Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott, I do like that. I don't know. I feel like Dak Prescott's always just going to be, and he gets better as the year goes on for the most part.
No, I would. Actually, guys, that's my recommendation right now. If you can't get Jaden Daniels, because obviously he's awesome.
Yeah.
If you can swing a Josh Allen for Dak Prescott and a piece.
Okay. And what kind of piece? What are we thinking piece wise? Like, just throw a name out there. I know I'm putting you on big time on the spot. I apologize.
I first thing that came to mind was like Chase Brown, but I would even want a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Maybe
would like Joe Mixon be too much of a piece? Because I'm like a kind of person, I'll 2 for 1 you all day. Like if I can.
Because he's hurt right now. Like I would honestly be looking at that kind of situation, especially if there's somebody who's got like, even like AJ Brown who's been out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, but the thing with Dak Prescott that I'm looking at, like you said, he gets better as the year goes on, usually after week 10, well, even in week 10, it's Philly.
Yep.
Houston, Washington. Oh, I love throwing against that secondary unless you're Deshaun Watson. The Giants, the Bengals, the Panthers, the Bucks, and then he ends with the Eagles. Like this could be just like last year where Dak Prescott just goes nuts the second half. So I would definitely be looking, if I've got Josh Allen, can I get Dak Prescott and something else? And start high with the something else.
Oh yeah. Send him something crazy, because usually like sometimes people see the name and they just automatically accept.
And the thing is,
it's wild to me.
I'm not opposed to doing a 2 for 2 where it's like, hey, I'll give you Josh Allen and this running back. I'm trying to think of a well, let's just say like Chase Brown.
Okay.
Josh Allen, Chase Brown. You give me Dak Prescott and I don't have a good name, but you know what I'm saying? Like a higher tier running back.
Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, an injured guy.
Yeah, sure. Something like that would be, yeah.
I mean, I would be I'd buy in on that.
Especially, Dak coming off 2 picks last night wasn't his best game. Like that offense has looked pretty rocky to start the season. Like guys, Dallas is going to get it figured out. They're going to be okay.
Yeah.
As far as like putting up points for fantasy and stuff. But yeah, I kind of like that as a good piece of advice for the week.
Okay.
See if you guys can get that deal done. If you've got Josh Allen, go sell.
I do have Josh Allen. It's kind of a dynasty. It's keeper, but we'll see. We'll see what I can get. Throw him out there.
Got to win. You got to win sometime, right? It's got to be now. Win this year. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about everything from this past week, and then heading here into week 6. I can't believe we're already going to be 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, right?
In the NFL season already, but we're going to keep doing the show. Obviously, we love doing this for you guys. Drop in the comments anything you've got, questions, starts, sits, trades, waivers, anything. Like
talk about how stupid we are for trading Josh Allen.
Or just flag this and then come back at the end of the season and tell us we're either stupid or, damn, you guys were onto something there. So.
Yep.
We'll see.
We shall see.
This is the first year we've done this podcast, so we'll see how this advice stuff rolls out. But, yeah, love doing it. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Fantasy Football Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow the podcast on social media at the Dawgs Fantasy.